In today's world, we've been conditioned to believe that success and the fulfillment of our desires come through constant struggle, relentless effort, and competing fiercely everywhere we look. We're taught that in order to achieve our dreams, we must push ourselves harder, fight more intensely, and never stop striving. But here's the truth. The act of trying is itself an admission that you don't have what you want. The very act of pursuing something with desperation confirms that it's not already present in your life. I'm going to share a principle with you that has been proven true not just through theory, but through countless real-life application. It's a law that governs everything in our reality. The more you try to attain something, the more you actually push it away. This is the law of reverse effort, and it operates with absolute precision in our universe. When you try to get something, you are unconsciously confirming that you don't have it yet, and by doing so, you block it from coming into your life. Think about it for a second. When you're trying to fall asleep, does sleep come to you when you force it? No, it doesn't. The harder you try to sleep, the more elusive it becomes. Similarly, when you're trying to recall a name or piece of information, does it come to you immediately? No. It's only when you stop trying, when you let go of the effort, that it suddenly pops into your mind effortlessly. The secret here is simple. The harder you try, the further away what you desire moves from you. Let me take a moment to share with you a powerful insight, one that is not just a theory, but a principle that operates in every part of life. In the Bibles, specifically in the book of Matthew, it says, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Pay attention to the tense used here. It doesn't say, "Believe that you will receive it," but instead, "Believe that you have already received it." This subtle yet crucial difference is the key to manifesting your desire. The mistake that most people make is that they are trying to get what they already have. They are trying to become something they already are. When you desire something, understand that it already exists in your consciousness. It's already present in what I call your imaginal act, existing in the spiritual realm. The physical world is simply the effect. The spiritual realm is the cause. What you seek is already in your imagination, and it is through the power of your mind and consciousness that it will manifest in your reality. I want to share with you a personal experience that perfectly illustrates this law in action. A few years ago, I found myself living in a small town, a place where many people thought it would be impossible to achieve my dreams. I longed to go to America, but during a time of war, resources were scarce, and the waiting list for travel was long. Everyone around me told me it was impossible, but instead of trying harder to force this dream to happen, I decided to apply this principle of assuming that my desire was already fulfilled. Instead of trying to get to America, I began to live as though I was already there. In my mind, I walked the streets of New York, felt the chill of the winter air on my face, and saw the towering skyscrapers. I lived in the feeling of being there already. I didn't push or strive. I simply assumed the state of already having what I wanted. And then something incredible happened. A man I had never met before, who somehow knew about my desire, facilitated my journey. Within a few months, I was standing on the very streets I had visualized in my imagination. This is the power of assuming the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. The secret isn't in trying, it's in living as though what you want is already yours. Whether your desire is related to money, love, health, or success, the law works the same way. The moment you stop trying to get it and start assuming that you already have it, the entire universe shifts to make it so. But let me clarify something. This is not about positive thinking or wishful thinking. This is about understanding the law of consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything in your world is a reflection of your inner state. When you try to force something into your life, you are actually affirming that you don't have it. But when you assume that you already possess it, you are embodying the consciousness of having it. Consider this example. Every night before you go to sleep, instead of trying to get what you want, assume that you already have it. Feel the naturalness of having it. Create a mental scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire, and feel the joy the satisfaction and the completeness of already possessing it. Then as you fall asleep, do so in that state of fulfillment. Here's why this works. Sleep is the state where your subconscious mind is most receptive. As you fall asleep while feeling that you already have what you desire, you are planting the seed of your fulfillment deep within your subconscious. Just as a seed must be planted in the soil and allowed to grow, so too must your desire be allowed to grow and manifest in your life. But remember this, effort implies lack, and lack is the opposite of abundance. Trying to get something is an effort, and effort only reinforces the idea that you don't already have it. Instead, live in the assumption that what you want is already yours. Feel it now. Experience the joy of possession now. Let your every thought, word, and action spring from the consciousness of already having what you desire. Now you might be thinking, but how can I assume something is mine when my senses tell me otherwise? This is where the power of consciousness comes into play. Your physical senses are simply showing you the results of your previous assumptions. They are showing you the effects, not the causes. The cause lies within your consciousness, and this is where the change must occur. Let me offer you an analogy to help you understand. When you walk into a room and flip a light switch, you don't stand there trying to make the light come on. You simply assume that it will. You act with the certainty that the light will respond to your act. In the same way, you must act with the confidence that your desires will manifest in your life without forcing or trying to make them happen. I want to share another principle that many people overlook. The outside world is dead. It has no power to give you anything or take anything away from you. It's simply responding to your consciousness. When you try to change things on the outside without changing your inner state, you're like someone trying to change their reflection in the mirror without changing their face. Your world is a reflection of you. Every person, circumstance, and event in your life is a mirror of your inner state of consciousness. When you try to change the reflection, you're working against the natural flow of life. But when you change your consciousness, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the reflection must change. This is why Scripture tells us to be still and know that I am God. This stillness is not about physical stillness, but about releasing the need for effort and accepting that what you desire is already yours. Think of the lilies of the field. They don't struggle to grow. They don't toil or spin, yet even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of them. This is not a lesson in laziness, but a profound spiritual truth. The lily allows the life force within it to express itself perfectly without effort. You too are like that lily. Your desires are the perfect pattern of your unfolding. When you try to force them into being, you're interfering with the natural flow. You're introducing struggle where there should only be allowance. Here's a practical exercise for you. Tonight, take a moment to think about your desire, whatever it may be, and create a mental scene that would imply its fulfillment. If your desire is for a new home, imagine yourself living in that home. Feel the texture of the furniture, walk through each room, and experience the joy of ownership. Then, and this is critical, don't try to make it happen. Simply know that by feeling the reality of it, you have set the law in motion, and it must come to pass. Remember, the feeling is the secret. It's not about trying, not about effort. It's about feeling the reality of your desire already being fulfilled. Persist in that feeling, and watch how life begins to rearrange itself to match your assumption. Now let's address something that often confuses people. They ask, but doesn't this mean we should do nothing? No, that's not what I'm teaching. Action will come, but it will come as inspired action, not forced action. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you will naturally be moved to take whatever action is necessary, but it will feel effortless and inspired. Think of a composer creating music. He doesn't try to compose, he listens inwardly and records what he hears. A great artist doesn't try to paint, they allow the image within them to express itself. This is how you must be with your desires. The great secret is this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the very feeling that guarantees its fulfillment. So stop trying, stop striving. Instead, live in the feeling of already having what you want, and the universe will rearrange itself to make it so. You see, the more you try, the more you affirm its absence. But when you live as though it's already yours, the process of manifestation begins effortless. Before we end tonight, I want to leave you with one last thought. Everything you desire already desires you. Everything you want is already seeking you. But as long as you try to chase after it, you create resistance. Let go, assume, and allow the natural flow of life to bring your desires to you. The moment you assume that you already have what you desire, all resistance dissipates. The key to manifesting anything in your life is to stop trying to make it happen, and instead live from the assumption that it already has. Don't struggle with the idea of becoming something or acquiring something. Instead, dare to simply assume that you are already what you want to be, and that you already possess what you seek. By making this shift, you begin to live in alignment with the truth of your desire. This is not about effort, nor is it about forcing things into existence. It's about accepting that it is already done. The moment you assume it is yours, you open the door for the universe to bring it to you effortlessly. When you fully embrace this, you will see the miracle unfold in your life. Remember, consciousness is the only true reality. Whatever you are conscious of being or having, you must eventually become and possess. The world is simply a reflection of you, your consciousness, your thoughts, your beliefs. When you change your concept of yourself, you change your world. Stop trying to chase after what you want, and simply be in the knowing that it is already yours. This is the law of consciousness, and it's the only way anything in life is ever truly accomplished. The kingdom of heaven, as it's referred to in spiritual teachings, lies within you. Everything you desire already exists in that space, waiting for you to stop striving and simply accept it as yours. Take this truth into your heart tonight and go in peace, knowing that what I have shared with you is not just a theory, but a truth that you can prove for yourself. This is a law that can be tested in the laboratory of daily life. I tell you with absolute certainty, with God, all things are possible, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you understand this principle deeply, you realize that everything is within your reach, as long as you stop trying and start assuming. Now some of you might be wondering, but Neville, if I stop trying, won't everything fall apart? Let me share a story that will help clarify this for you. There was a woman in my audience in New York who had been struggling for 2 years to sell her house. She had listed it with multiple agents, lowered the price repeatedly, and was constantly trying to force the sale to happen. She felt frustrated and helpless because the sale simply wasn't happening. Then, after hearing this principle, she decided to apply it. Instead of trying to sell the house, she assumed it was already sold. That night, she sat in her favorite chair and imagined the sale was complete. She visualized herself holding the check in her hands, feeling its crisp texture, and experiencing the relief and joy of the sale being done. Most importantly, she stopped trying to make it happen. She simply knew it was already done in her mind. Within 1 week, something remarkable occurred. A buyer appeared, and the house sold at her original asking price. The difference was that she had stopped confessing the lack of sale, and instead lived in the assumption that it was already sold. The moment she assumed the end result in her mind, the law of consciousness took over and brought it into her physical experience. Let's delve even deeper into this through Scripture. Remember, the Bible isn't just telling us about historical events, it is revealing eternal psychological truths. Consider the story of the Israelites trying to enter the Promised Land. For 40 years they wandered in the wilderness, trying to reach their destination. But it wasn't until they stopped trying, until they followed the command to stand still and witness the salvation of the Lord, that the walls of Jericho fell and they were able to enter the Promised Land. This isn't just a story from the past, it's your story. Your desire is your Promised Land, and your constant striving is your wilderness. The walls of Jericho represent the perceived obstacles between you and your desires, but these walls don't fall by effort. They fall through the assumption that the end result is already yours. The moment you cease your efforts and begin to live from the assumption of fulfillment, the walls begin to crumble. Now let me share a powerful technique that I call the Sabbath. In Scripture it is written that God rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but because the work was finished. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that the work is done the moment you assume the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. After that, you must rest from your mental labor. This is your Sabbath. Every time you catch yourself trying to force or manipulate something into being, remind yourself that trying is just an admission of lack. Instead, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and rest in that knowing. This is what it means to enter into God's rest. Think about how you operate when you already have something. When you have money in the bank, Do you try to have it? No. You simply know it's there. When you're in your home, do you try to be there? Of course not. You simply are there. That's how you must be with your desires. You must live as though they are already here. Let me give you another profound principle. Your consciousness is God's gift to you, but what you do with it is your gift to God. When you try to get something, you are essentially telling God that His gift is incomplete, that something is missing. But when you live from the assumption of the wish fulfilled, you are accepting His gift in its entirety, embracing its completeness. Many of you have asked about the importance of action. Some of you wonder, if I stop trying, should I stop doing anything at all? The answer is no. Action will still occur, but it will be inspired action rather than forced action. When you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you will be moved to take whatever steps are necessary, but these actions will come naturally and effortless. Consider the example of a bird building its nest. The bird doesn't try to build, it simply follows the pattern that is within it. The action flows from its state of consciousness. In the same way, the actions that you need to take in your life will come to you naturally when you live from the assumption of already having your desires fulfilled. Here's an important truth. The universe cannot give you what you want. It can only give you what you are. When you are trying to get something, you are embodying a state of lack, but when you assume the consciousness of having what you desire, you become a person who already has it, and the universe must respond accordingly. I want to offer you another technique to apply this principle. I call it the morning watch. When you wake up in the morning, before engaging with the world, take a few moments to establish the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't try to make your day good. Assume that it already is. Don't try to be successful. Assume that you already are successful. Begin each day, not by trying to get what you want, but by assuming that you already have it. The Bible says, let the weak say, I am strong. Notice it doesn't say let the weak try to become strong. This is the law of assumption at work. You assume the state you wish to embody, and by persisting in that assumption, it will harden into fact. Think about your own experiences. When you know something with absolute certainty, do you try to know it? No. You simply know it. The key to manifestation is the feeling of certainty, of already having or being what you desire. Now, some of you may be concerned about the time it takes for your assumption to manifest in the physical world. Remember this, time is not a distance we travel, it is a bridge we cross in consciousness. The moment you fully assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you have already crossed that bridge. What appears as time is simply the journey of your assumption through the dimensions of your world. I want to share one more secret with you. The feeling of relief is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate. When you are trying to get something, you feel tension. But when you have something, you feel relief. This is why it's so crucial to capture and maintain the feeling of relief that comes with fulfillment. Those who master this art of feeling relief, instead of striving, are the ones who see the greatest success. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, my desire seems so big, so impossible. Let me remind you of something. Size exists only in the world of effects, not in consciousness. In consciousness, the oak tree is no bigger than the acorn. It's simply the same thing in different form. Your desire, no matter how grand it may seem, is not bigger than your capacity to assume its fulfillment. Remember, all things are possible to him that believeth. It doesn't say, to him that tries. Belief is not about trying. It is the feeling of know. When you know something, you don't try to know it. You simply know it. Let me share one final story about one of my most remarkable students, a woman who had been deaf in one ear for over. Medical science had declared her condition permanent, but she understood the principle of assumption. Instead of trying to heal her ear, she simply assumed she was hearing perfectly. She didn't try to force a change. She lived from the assumption of perfect hearing. Within 2 months, her hearing was completely restored, astonishing even her doctors. This brings us to what I call the law of perpetual creation. Every moment of your life, you are creating your reality through your assumption. When you try to get something, you are assuming that you don't have it, and you create more of not having it. This is why it is essential to master your assumptions. Let me give you one last practical exercise called the daily 3 times a day, morning, noon and night. Pause for a moment and reset your assumptions. Ask yourself, if I already had what I desire,
what would I be assuming right now? Then assume that. Don't try to make it true. Know that your assumption makes it true. Remember the biblical story of the prodigal son. The father didn't try to make his son return. He simply assumed in his heart that the return would happen, and that assumption brought the son back. Your consciousness works the same way. It draws to you whatever you assume to be true. Lastly, I want to leave you with a final technique, the miracle method. When you look in the mirror, don't try to see what you want to see. Instead, assume that you are already seeing it. Your reflection may not change immediately, but if you persist in this assumption, your reflection will ultimately conform to your consciousness. As you go about your day, remember that right action flows naturally from right consciousness. When you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, the inspired actions you need to take will come to you effortlessly. Act from the assumption that what you desire is already yours, and the universe will respond accordingly. For those of you who are impatient for results, remember this: impatience is simply another form of trying. When you truly assume that something is yours, you become patient because you know that it is already on its way to you. The seed does not struggle to become a tree. It inherently contains the blueprint of the tree and naturally transforms into it. This is the essence of what I call the Sabbath state. In this state, you rest from all forms of trying because you know that it is already finished. This isn't about becoming inactive, but rather about acting from the certainty that your desires are already fulfilled, rather than from the uncertainty that comes with the act of trying to achieve them.
Whenever you catch yourself trying, remember this: it's a signal that you're on the wrong path. Don't try to stop trying, as that's just more effort. Instead, simply assume the state where trying is unnecessary, because you already have what you desire. Live from the assumption that you possess what you want, and you'll find that the need for trying fades away. As we wrap up tonight, let me leave you with a crucial truth. You're not going to get what you want, because the truth is, you will only ever become what you are. Therefore, instead of trying to get something, focus on becoming the person who already has it. Live from that assumption, and watch as the world around you reshapes itself to reflect that state of consciousness. The practice of this is simple, but it requires vigilance. Watch your assumptions as carefully as you would watch your step in a dangerous place. Your assumptions are shaping your future in this very moment. The principle of stopping the act of trying is not just a technique, it's a fundamental law of consciousness. It operates whether you are aware of it or not, much like gravity. Just as gravity affects everything regardless of belief, this law is true regardless of whether you understand it or not. Go forward now, not to try, but to assume, not to become, but to be. Not to get, but to have. For in consciousness, all creation takes place. What you assume to be true becomes true, and what you believe you already have, you truly possess. And now, as our discussion comes to a close, remember, what you've heard tonight is not merely information to be remembered. It is a truth to be lived. Let every moment of trying become a reminder to assume. Let no appearance of lack become your opportunity to assume abundance. Ultimately, it is not the act of trying that shapes your world. It is the power of assumption. When you truly understand this, you will experience the peace that comes from ceasing all trying and resting in the assumption of your wish already fulfilled. Good night, and may you be blessed. Let me share something remarkable that happened recently. Last week, after one of my lectures, a man approached me. By worldly standards, he was successful, wealthy, respected, and accomplished. Yet despite all his achievements, there was a deep emptiness in his eye. He looked at me and said, "Neville, I've achieved everything I thought I wanted, but I still don't know who I am." My dear friends, this is one of the greatest tragedies of human existence, to live an entire life without truly discovering who you are. So many people go through life wearing masks, never realizing that their true face is hidden beneath layers of societal roles and expectations. Tonight, I want to share with you a truth that has transformed countless lives, a truth that will free you from all limitations once you grasp it. This truth is simple but profound. You are the living manifestation of God Himself, temporarily experiencing life in human form. Now, I know that this may sound startling to some of you. You might be thinking, Neville, surely you don't mean that literally. But I assure you, with every fiber of my being, I mean exactly that. Let me explain why this is not blasphemy, but instead the very truth that Scripture has been trying to reveal all along. When God speaks of Himself in Scripture, He uses one name above all others. When Moses asked God His name, God responded with, I am that I am. This was not just a mystical or philosophical answer. It was the revelation of God's true nature, and by extension, your nature. Consider this. What is the one thing you cannot deny about yourself? What is the one thing that remains constant throughout all your experiences? It is the simple awareness of being. Before you say, I am rich, or I am poor, before you claim, I am successful or I am failing, there must first be the fundamental I am. This I am is God expressing Himself through you. This is why Jesus said, I and my Father are one. He wasn't claiming something unique to Himself. He was revealing a universal truth about human identity. Let me share an experience that will help illuminate this truth. A woman once came to me, burdened by years of self-doubt and limitations. I asked her to do a simple exercise. For the next 5 minutes, strip away every label, every role, every title that she had ever accepted about herself. She was to remove everything until only her pure awareness remained. At first, she was uncomfortable. Like most people, she had built her identity on external factors, her roles, her relationships, her achievements. But as she continued, something remarkable happened. She touched that pure, unchanging awareness, her I am. In that moment, she knew who she truly was. You see, my friends, discovering who you are is not a matter of accumulating more knowledge or experiences. It is the process of removing everything that is not you until only your true self remains. Think of it this way. If you had a golden statue covered with layers of paint, the process of discovering the gold wouldn't be about adding more material. It would be about removing the layers that conceal it. Your true self is like that gold. It's already perfect, complete, and whole, hidden beneath layers of accumulated ideas about who you think you are. This is why Scripture tells us, be still and know that I am God. Notice it doesn't say, think about God or study about God. It says, be still and know. This knowledge is not attained through intellectual understanding, but through direct experience of your own being. Let me now share with you the 3 fundamental truths about your identity that you must grasp. First, you are not your body. Your body is something you have, not something you are. You say my body just as you say my car or my house. Whatever you can possess cannot be who you truly are. Second, you are not your thoughts. You can observe your thoughts, which means that you are the observer of them, not the thoughts themselves. The true you is the awareness in which thoughts arise and pass away. Third, you are not your roles or your personal story. These are temporary expressions, but you are the eternal expressor. You are not defined by your past experiences, your titles, or the roles you play in the world. These truths lead us to a profound question. If you are not your body, not your thoughts, and not your roles, then who are you? This is where we must enter into what I call the sacred silence of self-discovery. Let me share something profound that happened in my own experience. One night, alone in my room in New York City, I entered a state of deep contemplation. As I sat in stillness, I began to strip away every concept I had ever had about myself. Layer by layer, everything fell away. Then suddenly, listen closely, I experienced myself as pure awareness, boundless and eternal. This is not just a philosophical or theoretical idea. This is practical metaphysics that can transform your entire existence. Let me now share with you the 3 levels of self-discovery that you must navigate to uncover your true identity. The first level is the outer self. This is the self that most people identify with, the personality, the social mask, the collection of habits and patterns that we show the world. It's like an actor who becomes so immersed in a role that they forget they're acting. The second level is the inner self, the consciousness that observes all experiences. This level brings you closer to your true identity. But it's still not the ultimate truth. Think about it. When you say, I had a thought, who is the I that had the thought? When you say, I felt something, who is the I that experienced the feeling? There must be something prior to thoughts and feelings. Something that is aware of them. This is the inner self, the witness to all experience. The third level is the divine self, the ultimate truth of who you are. This is not something you need to achieve or attain. It is the I am that has no beginning and no end. It is the eternal truth of your being. To discover this divine self, I recommend a technique called reverse inquiry. Instead of asking, who am I? Ask, who is asking this question? Keep following this inquiry back until you reach the source of all questions, the I am within you. Discovering who you truly are is not a process of becoming something new. It is a process of uncovering what has always been there. It's like the sun hidden behind clouds. The clouds may come and go, but the sun remains eternally itself. And so, my dear friends, the journey to discovering who you are is not about acquiring more. It's about removing the layers that have concealed your true identity all along. This is why Jesus said, before Abraham was I. He wasn't referring to the personal figure of Jesus, but rather to the eternal I am that is your true identity. Understanding this distinction between your eternal nature and its temporary expressions is essential. Let me share with you 3 practical exercises to help you discover your true self. The first exercise is the silent witness. Throughout your day, practice being aware that you are aware. Don't just experience your experiences, but notice that you are the awareness in which all experiences appear. Recognize that the essence of your being is not the experiences themselves, but the awareness that holds them. The second exercise is the sacred question. Ask yourself repeatedly, who is aware of this moment? Don't accept any verbal or mental answers. Let the question take you deeper, leading you into pure awareness. This will guide you toward the recognition of your true self, beyond all labels and assumptions. The third exercise is the divine recognition. Whatever you experience, recognize that you are the consciousness in which it appears. You are not the passing show of life, but the eternal witness of the show. By practicing this, you begin to identify with the observer, not the observer. You see, my dear friends, most people spend their entire lives trying to become something, trying to achieve, trying to gather experiences. But I tell you, all of that effort is taking you farther from the simple truth of who you already are. Consider this. When you say I am, you are expressing the same I am that God expressed when he declared, I am that I am. This I am is your true identity. Everything else, from your personality to your achievements and roles, are just temporary costumes worn by the eternal I am. Once you discover who you truly are, all effort ceases. You no longer need to try to become anything, because you recognize that you are already everything. This is why Scripture says, be still and know that I am. When you are at rest in the knowledge of your true identity, you no longer need to struggle or strive. Now we come to what I consider the most transformative aspect of self-discovery, the power of recognizing your true self. This recognition is not just an intellectual understanding, it is a living, breathing experience that has the potential to revolutionize your entire existence. Let me share something profound that occurred during one of my deep meditations. In that moment, I realized that everything I had sought in life, peace, joy, fulfillment, was not something to be achieved, but something to be recognized as my very nature. This recognition, my friends, is what I call the ultimate revolution. There's a significant difference between knowing something intellectually and recognizing it as your very being. Let me illustrate this with a story that perfectly captures this truth. A lion cub was raised among sheep. It bleated like a sheep, ate grass like a sheep, and thought it was a sheep. One day, an adult lion saw this curious sight and roared with laughter. The cub, frightened, tried to bleat and run away, but the adult lion caught it and dragged it to a pool of water. For the first time, the cub saw its own reflection next to the adult lion. In that moment of recognition, something profound happened. The cub didn't become a lion. It recognized that it had always been one. This, my dear friends, is exactly what must happen to you. You are not becoming God. You are recognizing that you have always been the very expression of God himself. This is why Scripture says, "Know ye not that you are gods?" Let me now share with you the 3 stages of self-recognition. The first stage is the recognition of presence. Begin by recognizing that before you are anything, before you are male or female, rich or poor, successful or unsuccessful, you simply are. This pure sense of being, this I am, is the first clue to your true identity. Consider this. You never experience yourself as absent. You may experience different states, different circumstances, but you never experience your own absence. This is because you are the eternal presence in which all experiences appear. The second stage is the recognition of awareness. Go deeper and recognize that you are not just present. You are aware. This awareness is not something you have, but something you are. Everything else appears and disappears within this awareness, but the awareness itself remains constant. Let me offer a practical exercise called the Awareness Watch. Throughout your day, whenever you remember, notice that you are aware. Don't try to analyze or understand awareness. Simply recognize that you are the awareness in which everything appears. The third stage is the recognition of identity. This is the deepest recognition, where you realize that this awareness, this presence, is not just a quality you possess. It is your very identity. It is the I am that God called himself to be. Most spiritual seekers make the fundamental mistake of trying to reach God, trying to connect with God, or trying to become one with God. But I tell you this: you cannot reach what you already are. You cannot connect with what you've never been separated from. You cannot become what you have always been. Let me now share with you what I call the 3 great illusions that prevent self-recognition. The first illusion is the illusion of separation. You believe you are separate from God, separate from your good, and separate from what you desire. This is the fundamental illusion that must be dissolved through self-recognition. The second illusion is the illusion of becoming. You believe that you must become something other than what you already are. This keeps you perpetually seeking, but never finding. The third illusion is the illusion of distance. You believe that what you seek is far away, in some distant future or place. This prevents you from recognizing that what you seek is already here, right now. To dissolve these illusions, I have a profound technique I call the recognition practice. Sit quietly and follow these steps. Recognize that you are aware right now. Recognize that this awareness is not something you created or achieved. Recognize that this awareness is the same awareness that God declared when he said, "I am." Finally, recognize that you are this I am. The scripture says, "Be still and know that I am God." Notice that it doesn't say, "Become God or reach God." It says, "No." This knowing is recognition. Let me share something remarkable about this recognition. When you truly recognize who you are, everything changes, yet nothing changes. The world remains exactly as it is, but your experience of it is completely transformed. Consider this profound truth. The sun doesn't need to do anything to be the sun. It doesn't need to practice being the sun or try to become a better sun. It simply is what it is, and from that natural state, it illuminates everything around it. Similarly, once you recognize who you truly are, you no longer need to try to be anything. Your natural state is complete fulfillment, complete peace, complete joy.
These are not states to be achieved, but your very nature to be recognized. Let me share something that happened just yesterday. A gentleman approached me after my lecture, deeply troubled. He said, "Neville, I understand intellectually that I am God's perfect expression, but my daily experience shows me something entirely different. This, my dear friends, is the gap we must bridge, the gap between intellectual understanding and lived experience. Living from your true identity is not about adding anything to yourself. It's about removing the veils that hide your true nature." Let me now share with you what I call the 3 veils of forgetfulness. The first veil is the body identity. Most people are completely identified with their body. They think, "I am this body." But I tell you this, you are not the body, you are the consciousness that animates the body. Your body is in you. You are not in the body. Let me share a profound exercise I call the cool shift. Throughout your day, whenever you remember, shift your identity from the body to consciousness. Instead of thinking, "I am walking," recognize, "I am aware of walking." Instead of thinking, "I am eating," recognize, "I am aware of eating." This simple shift begins to loosen the grip of body identification. The second veil is the thought identity. Deeper than body identification is thought identification. People believe they are their thoughts, but ask yourself, if you are your thoughts, then who is aware of them? Thoughts come and go. They appear and disappear. But you, the awareness in which thoughts appear, remain constant. You are not the passing clouds of thought, but the unchanging sky of awareness. Here's an exercise called the thought witness. Throughout your day, practice watching your thoughts without becoming involved in them. See them as clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Don't try to change them or control them. Just witness them. The third veil is the story identity. This is perhaps the strongest veil, the story you tell about yourself. Your past, your successes, your failures, your relationships. They all form the story of your identity. But I tell you this, you are not your story. You are the awareness in which all stories appear. And with that, my dear friends, you are invited to uncover your true identity. Not through the accumulation of knowledge or experiences, but through the recognition of what you have always been. You are the eternal I am. And the journey of self-discovery is simply the process of removing the veils that have concealed this truth. This is why the scripture says, "Behold, I make all things new." When you recognize your true identity, you are no longer constrained by the past or by the limitations of what you once thought you were. You have the power to create a new story for yourself at any moment. Now let's explore the 3 stages of living from your true identity. Stage 1, recognition. Begin by acknowledging your true nature as pure awareness throughout your day. Whether you're working, interacting with others, or even in quiet moments, maintain the awareness that you are not the one doing, but the one observing. I call this the constant recognition practice. No matter what activity you are engaged in, maintain the background awareness that you are the awareness behind all experience. Think of it like a screen that remains unchanged. While the movie plays, your true nature stays constant, while life's events move through you. Stage 2, living from wholeness. Most people live with a sense of deficiency, always striving to add something to themselves in order to feel complete. But when you recognize your true identity, you start living from a place of wholeness. Here's an important truth. Everything you seek, peace, joy, love, abundance, is not something to attain or chase. These are aspects of your inherent nature, waiting to be recognized. When you operate from this state of wholeness, you no longer feel the need to seek anything. You understand that you already possess everything.
Here's a practical exercise I call wholeness recognition. Before you begin any task, remind yourself that you are already complete. You're not doing it to achieve something more. You're engaging in it as an expression of what you already are. Stage 3, divine expression. This is the highest form of living from your true identity. In this state, you realize that every action, every word, and every thought is not merely yours, but is the divine expressing itself through you. When Jesus said, "I and my Father are one," he wasn't making a personal claim. He was revealing a universal truth about your identity. You are not a human being trying to express divinity. You are a divine being expressing through a human form. I want to introduce you to a practice I call divine expression. Before you take any action, quietly acknowledge that God is expressing through you in this very action. This shifts the experience of mundane tasks into a sacred practice. Now, some of you might be thinking, but if I am a divine being, why do I still face limitations and challenges? This is where we need to understand the difference between your true identity and your current state of consciousness. Your true nature is like the sun. It shines eternally. But your state of consciousness is like the clouds, which can temporarily obscure the sun. The sun hasn't changed, it hasn't diminished, it's simply hidden. This is why Scripture speaks of putting off the old man and putting on the new man. The old man represents the lurid state of consciousness, while the new man is your divine identity. Although your true identity never changes, your experience of life is shaped by the state of consciousness you occupy. Let me share something incredible from one of my own experiences. I was in New York, physically in my small apartment, but I consciously occupied the state of being in Barbados. Within weeks, without any logical explanation, I found myself physically in Barbados. This is the power of consciousness. States of consciousness are like rooms in a mansion, and your true identity, the I am, is the inhabitant who can move from room to room. Let me share with you the 3 levels of conscious transformation. Level 1, recognition of states. Most people are fully identified with their current state. If they're in a state of lack, they believe they are lacking. If they are experiencing illness, they identify with being sick. But I tell you this, you are not the state you are in. You are the awareness that can inhabit different states at will. Here's a technique I call the state observer. Throughout your day, observe the state you're in without becoming attached to it. For example, instead of saying, I am anxious, recognize, I am aware of the feeling of anxiety. This simple shift begins to liberate you from the identification with your state. Level 2, moving between states. Once you realize you are not the state, but the observer of the state, you can learn to shift between states at will. This is what Scripture means when it says, in my Father's house are many mansions. Each mansion is a different state of consciousness, and you have the power to move between them. Here's a technique I call the state shift. Choose a state you wish to occupy, let's say the state of abundance. First, recognize that this state already exists, and you are not creating it but moving into it. Then ask yourself, what would I be thinking, feeling, and experiencing if I were in this state right now? This is not just imagination. This is the movement of consciousness from one state to another. And as you make this shift, the outer world will naturally begin to reorganize itself to match your new state. Level 3, permanent transformation. This is the highest level of conscious transformation, where you learn to stabilize in higher states of consciousness. Most people visit higher states occasionally, like moments of peace, joy, or clarity, but they don't know how to remain there. It's like visiting a beautiful mansion but not realizing that you can live there permanently. I call this divine occupation. It's the art of not only visiting higher states, but also occupying them permanently. Here's how you practice it. First, choose a state you want to occupy, such as the state of perfect peace. Second, recognize that this state is your natural state as a divine being. Third, instead of trying to achieve peace, simply assume that you are peace itself. Finally, live from this assumption regardless of external circumstances. Now let's explore the 3 obstacles to transformation that you must overcome to experience the fullness of these higher states of consciousness. Obstacle 1, mental habits. Your old thinking patterns will try to pull you back into familiar limiting states. This is why Scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. A technique I recommend is called pattern breaking. Whenever you notice yourself slipping into an old thought pattern, pause and ask, who is aware of this pattern? This question brings you back to your true identity as the observer of all thought. Obstacle 2. Emotional attachments. Even when we desire change, we often have hidden attachments to our current state. This is why Jesus said, "Let the dead bury their dead." I suggest using the emotional release technique. Recognize that your emotions are not who you are. They are temporary experiences passing through you. And you can release them because you are the unchanging awareness in which they appear. Obstacle 3. Physical evidence. The physical world will continue to show you evidence of your old state while your new state is taking root. This is where many people falter. But remember this. The physical world is not the cause of your state of consciousness, it is the effect. When you maintain a new state despite external evidence to the contrary, the evidence will eventually change to match your new state. Let me share with you the 3 laws of conscious transformation. Law 1. The law of consciousness. Whatever state you occupy in consciousness, you will express and experience. Law 2. The law of assumption. You become what you assume yourself to be. Law 3. The law of expression. Your outer world is the expression of your inner state. Tonight we are entering the heart of conscious transformation, the practice of living from enlightened consciousness. This is not just about understanding these truths, it's about the actual art of living them. Let me share a story that occurred just last week. A woman came to me deeply troubled by her financial situation. Rather than trying to change her circumstances, I showed her how to occupy the state of divine abundance. Within days, opportunities began to emerge that she hadn't seen before. It wasn't the world that changed. It was her state of consciousness. Now let's explore the 3 perfect states that form the foundation of enlightened living. State 1. Divine love. Love is often thought of as an emotion or a relationship between separate beings. But I tell you, divine love is a state of consciousness, your natural state as a divine being. Here's a practice I call love recognition. Throughout your day, recognize that love is not something you feel, but something you are. Instead of trying to feel love, recognize that you are love itself. When Jesus said, God is love, he was not describing a quality of God. He was describing God's very nature, which is your nature. State 2. Divine wisdom. Wisdom is not just knowledge. It is a state of consciousness that knows directly through recognition. This is what Scripture means when it says, be still and know. Here's a practice I call the wisdom recognition. Recognize that divine wisdom isn't something you acquire. It is your natural state, always present within you. Allow yourself to simply be still and recognize this knowing. Before making any decision, take a moment to shift from analytical thinking to direct knowing. Instead of weighing pros and cons, enter the state of divine wisdom and allow the answer to arise naturally. When you occupy the state of divine wisdom, you have access to all knowledge. This is why King Solomon didn't ask for knowledge but for wisdom, because in wisdom all knowledge is included. The 3rd perfect state. Divine power. True power isn't the ability to control or dominate. Rather, it is the realization that all power flows through you as divine expression. Let me share a practice I call the power recognition. Throughout your day, recognize that any power you express, whether in thought, speech, or action, is not your personal power but divine power flowing through you. When you embody this understanding, every action becomes an expression of divine will rather than individual effort. Now let's look at the 3 stages of practicing perfect state. Stage 1, recognition. The first step is to recognize that perfect states are not something to achieve, they are your natural condition, your inherent nature. Just like the sun doesn't try to shine, it simply shines. You don't need to practice perfection. You need to recognize your perfect nature. This is what I call the perfect recognition practice. Throughout your day, before engaging in any activity, remind yourself, I am the perfect expression of divine being, expressing as this activity. This simple recognition aligns you with your true essence.
Stage 2, occupation. The second stage involves fully occupying these perfect states, regardless of external circumstances. Most people allow their surroundings to determine their state of being. But I tell you this, you must determine your state regardless of what's happening outside of you. The technique I recommend here is called state occupation. Choose a perfect state, like divine peace, and fully immerse yourself in it. Let go of any resistance to current circumstances. You are not trying to change the conditions, you are occupying the state that will naturally transform them. This allows you to be at peace no matter the external circumstances. Stage 3, expression. The final stage is where perfect states become your natural way of being. You no longer have to consciously try to occupy these states because you recognize that they are your true nature. I want to introduce you to the 3 aspects of perfect expression. The first aspect is spontaneous expression. Perfect states express naturally without effort or planning. They arise spontaneously as part of your being. The second aspect is complete expression. Perfect states are expressed fully, not partially or gradually. When you are aligned with perfection, it fills every part of your experience. The third aspect is eternal expression. Perfect states express eternally, not temporarily or conditionally. They are permanent aspects of your true nature, not fleeting or dependent on circumstance. Now let's address a common question that many people ask. How can I maintain perfect states when the world around me is showing me imperfection? Here's a profound truth. The world you see is simply a reflection of your state of consciousness. When you occupy a perfect state, the world must transform to reflect that state. This is why Scripture says, "Be ye perfect, as your Father in heaven is perfect." Let me share with you the 3 keys to maintaining perfect states. Key 1, absolute recognition. Recognize that perfection is not a future goal, but your present reality. You don't need to wait to become perfect, you already are. Key 2, complete acceptance. Accept your perfect nature as it is. Don't try to improve or change it. Accept that you are already perfect in your essence. Key 3, natural expression. Let perfection express naturally without forcing or control. When you live from your true essence, perfection flows effortlessly through you. Now I want to share why these words carry so much power and how you can use them to manifest everything you desire. You see, most people spend their lives seeking power outside of themselves, waiting for permission or validation. They believe their desires must be achieved through hard work, struggle, and external forces. But I tell you, all power resides within your own consciousness. When you declare, "I am the power," you are acknowledging the fundamental truth of existence. The same force that moves the stars and grows the flowers is the force that flows through your consciousness. These 4 words are not just an affirmation. They are a declaration of your true nature, your essential being. When you say, "I am the power," you are recognizing the creative force within you. Every great achievement in human history began with someone recognizing their inner power. They didn't wait for external validation, nor did they seek permission. They understood that all power flows from within. Most people have it backward. They say, "When I have this, then I will be powerful." But I tell you, you must first assume your power, and then everything becomes possible. When you say, "I am the power," these words are not mere words to be spoken. They must be felt and lived. They must become the dominant state of your consciousness. When you truly embody these words, the universe must reorganize itself to reflect your new self-concept. This is not a metaphysical idea, it is a law of the universe. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you want to manifest. But I tell you, manifestation is not about getting something you don't have. It's about revealing what already exists within your consciousness. When you declare, "I am the power," you are not creating power. You are acknowledging what has always been true within you. This recognition changes everything. Your world must shift to align with this declaration. Most people approach manifestation with a sense of waiting, hoping and wishing that their desires will come to them. But when you know, "I am the power," you approach life as a creator, knowing that whatever you decree must manifest. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in your world is simply consciousness made visible. Every morning when you wake up, you are either reinforcing your powerlessness or claiming your power. There is no neutral ground. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption you hold is either aligning with I am the power or denying it. These 4 words are not just a positive affirmation. They are the recognition of your true nature. When you truly understand this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Most of you have been taught to look for power in external circumstances, in money, relationships, or social status. But I tell you, these are merely effects. The cause lies in your consciousness. When you truly know I am the power, you no longer beg, plead, or hope for things to happen. You simply decree, and by law your decree must manifest. When you declare I am the power, you are shifting your entire self-concept. You are no longer seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of circumstances. Most people spend their lives reacting to what they see. But when you know I am the power, you understand that what you see is simply your consciousness. Every great achievement begins with someone knowing they were the power. They didn't wait for conditions to change. They changed conditions by changing their consciousness. When you truly embody I am the power, your entire world begins to reorganize itself, to reflect your new self-concept. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you are either expressing power or limitation. There is no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to external conditions. You stop asking how things will manifest. You understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. When you know I am the power, problems and obstacles dissolve in the light of your consciousness. Everything in your world right now is the result of your previous concepts about yourself. Change the concept by knowing I am the power, and your world must change. When you declare I am the power, you are not making a positive statement about your future. You are claiming your present reality. There is no future creation. There is only present assumption. These 4 words are not just an affirmation. They are the key to living as the creator of your own reality. When you fully embrace the idea of I am the power, you realize that what you assume in this moment must manifest. These 4 words aren't just a statement. They represent a complete shift in consciousness. When you truly embody these words, you stop looking for anything outside yourself. Every time you say I can't or it's too difficult, you are denying these 4 words and giving away your power to external circumstances. Here's what happens when you consistently maintain this mindset. Your entire world must reshape itself to align with your new self-concept. For years, many of you have collected evidence of your limitations. But once you understand I am the power, all past evidence becomes irrelevant. Only your present assumption holds power. Consider this. Every great achievement in your life began with a shift in consciousness. When you knew you could, you did. These 4 words simply make that knowing permanent. They don't just declare something about you. They activate the very force that created the universe. Most people spend their lives waiting for permission to be powerful, hoping for the right circumstances, credentials, or timing. But I tell you, the only permission you need is your own recognition of I am the power. When you embody these words, your world, your relationships transform because you no longer seek power from others. Your work changes because you no longer depend on external validation. Your entire life reshapes because you are now operating from a new dimension of consciousness. When you live from I am the power, a subtle shift happens. You stop asking, when will my desire manifest? Because you understand that manifestation isn't a future event. It's a present moment recognition. Most of you have been taught that power must be acquired. But when you declare I am the power, you realize power is your natural state. Everything else is learned powerlessness. These 4 words challenge everything you've been taught about cause and effect. When you say I am the power, you recognize that consciousness is the only cause. Everything else is simply effect. Every time you say I hope or I wish, you're denying these 4 words, placing your power outside yourself in a future event or external circumstance. When you maintain this consciousness consistently, your world must rearrange itself to reflect this new self-concept. This is not theory, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, current limitations, or future obstacles. But I tell you, these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you are either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no neutral ground. When you grasp I am the power, you stop giving power to anything external. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a casual statement. You're aligning yourself with the fundamental creative force of the universe. Most people live their entire lives believing that power lies in their actions, resources, or connections. But when you know I am the power, you understand that everything you do flows from this knowing. Imagine waking up each day knowing that you bring whatever you decree to the day, instead of wondering what the day will bring. When you live from these 4 words, your actions and decisions are infused with the certainty of your power. When you stop seeking validation from others, you realize that all validation comes from within you. You stop fighting circumstances because you understand that circumstances are merely shadows of your inner state. Most of you have spent years trying to change the effects in your life without addressing the cause. But when you declare I am the power, you go directly to the cause, your consciousness. These 4 words contain the secret to all creation. When you truly embody them, you understand that everything in your world is simply your consciousness. Every time you blame external conditions for your state, you are denying I am the power. You're giving your creative power to shadow. Let me share what happens when this consciousness becomes second nature to you. You stop asking, how will this happen? Because you understand that the power which knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here tonight wondering what's possible and what's impossible. But I tell you, possibility and impossibility exist only in consciousness. When you know I am the power, all things become possible. Every limitation in your life exists because you have accepted it in your consciousness. When you embody I am the power, all limitations dissolve. These 4 words will forever change how you view manifestation. When you declare I am the power, you're not just speaking words. You're awakening to your true identity. Many people spend their lives seeking power through achievement, accumulation, or recognition. But I tell you, all seeking ends when you realize that you are what you've been seeking. When you understand these words, you stop looking for signs, waiting for permission, or seeking approval. When you know I am the power, what else could you possibly need? There's a shift that occurs in your relationships when you embody these words. You no longer need others to complete you, validate you, or empower you. You become whole within yourself. Paradoxically, this completance attracts more fulfilling relationships. Most people are taught that power comes from doing. But when you declare I am the power, you understand that power comes from being. Your doing then flows naturally from your being. These 4 words revolutionize your approach to manifestation. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to unfold from your consciousness. Every time you say I'll try or I hope, you're actually denying your power. You're placing the fulfillment of your desires in some uncertain future. When you maintain this consciousness consistently, your entire world reshapes itself to match your new self-concept. This is not magic, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you need to do to manifest your desires. But manifestation is not about doing. It's about being. When you know I am the power, the doing takes care of itself. Every great achievement in history began with someone knowing their power. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They understood that conditions respond to consciousness. Most people spend their lives in reaction mode, responding to circumstances and adapting to conditions. But when you know I am the power, you create circumstances. You determine conditions. When you approach each moment from this consciousness, you no longer see problems as obstacles. You see them as opportunities to demonstrate your creative power. The transformation in your financial world, for example, occurs when you embody I am the power. Money stops being something you chase and becomes something you attract. Simply through your consciousness of abundance. Most of you have been conditioned to believe that success requires struggle. But when you declare I am the power, you realize that success is simply the natural expression of your consciousness. These 4 words completely transform your relationship with time. When you know I am the power, you cease postponing your good to some future date. Every time you say, when I have this, then I'll be powerful, you are denying your present power. When this consciousness becomes your natural state, your entire experience of reality, what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, present limitations, or future uncertainties. But I tell you, these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten its power. When you know I am the power, you understand that nothing can limit you, because your true nature is limitless. This shift is not just about changing how you think, it's about changing the very foundation of your reality. Every moment of your life, you are either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no in-between. When you truly grasp the meaning of I am the power, you stop attributing power to anything external. Let me reveal the ultimate truth about these 4 words. When you say I am the power, you make a powerful declaration of freedom from all external influences. Tonight you are at a pivotal moment. From here on, you will never again see yourself as powerless. You will no longer give your power to circumstances, other people, or past experiences. Right now, as you take in these words, you are at a crossroad. You can continue living the way you have, believing that power lies outside of yourself, or you can claim your true essence by understanding that I am the power. Consider this. When you embrace these words, every obstacle will turn into an opportunity. Every challenge becomes a chance to express your creative power. Many of you came here tonight in search of answers, but I tell you, the only answer you need is already within you, the unwavering certainty that I am the power. These words are not just a method or technique. They are a complete revolution in your consciousness. When you live by them, your entire world will shift. Think about tomorrow morning. When you wake up, will you rise as the same person who came here tonight? Or will you wake up knowing I am the power, ready to consciously create your day? Let me share this crucial truth. There is no power outside of you. There never was, and there never will be. All power is contained within your consciousness, and that consciousness is you. From this moment forward, let every breath remind you that I am the power. Let each heartbeat affirm this truth. Let every step you take reflect this understanding. You are not trying to become powerful. You are simply recognizing that you have always been powerful. You are the power that creates worlds. You are the power that moves mountains. You are the power that transforms lives. Tonight, make a sacred promise to yourself. Promise to never again deny your power. Promise to never again give it away. Promise to live every moment with the consciousness that I am the power. This promise is your key to freedom. This recognition is your path to transformation. In this awareness lies everything you have ever desired. Go forward now, not as seekers, but as knowers. Not as dreamers of hopes, but as creators of conscious reality. Not as victims of your circumstances, but as creators of your world. When you know I am the power, nothing in the world can stand in your way. Nothing can deny you. Nothing can limit you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your power. Rise up and claim it, live it. Be it, for you are the power. You always have been, and you always will be. Let this be your final understanding, your ultimate truth, your eternal knowing. I am the power, and so it is. You are here because your imagination, the divine and creative force within you, has brought you to this moment. Understand this profound truth. There are no coincidences in existence. Every moment, every encounter, every word you're absorbing right now has been drawn to you by the state of consciousness you have been living in. Your presence here is proof of the law that governs all things, the law of consciousness.
While millions of people walk this earth, only a few are drawn to this message. Not because it's hidden, but because only those ready to awaken to their true power will be guided to it. This is not mere coincidence. It is the law in action, working with perfect precision. Consider this. Of all the moments in time, of all the messages you could be receiving, you are here now reading these words. This is no random event. This is divine timing at work. A manifestation of consciousness expressing itself through the perfect design of your awakening. Let me tell you from my own experience. The fact that you are here means you have reached a point in your spiritual evolution where you are ready to understand the deeper truths of existence. You are ready to comprehend what only a few can grasp. Everything you see in the world, every detail, is a reflection of your consciousness. The fact that you are receiving this message now is evidence that you are in a state of readiness, spiritually receptive to what is being shared with you in this very moment. Many people will dismiss this as too simple to be true. They will look for complexity, for more difficult paths. But I tell you, the greatest truths are often the simplest. The truth that consciousness is the only reality is so simple that most people miss it entirely. Let me explain why this message finds only those who are ready. In a world full of noise, only those who have reached a certain frequency of consciousness will be able to hear these words and understand their depth. Consciousness operates with perfect accuracy. Just like a radio must be tuned to a specific frequency to receive a particular broadcast. Your consciousness has tuned itself to the right spiritual frequency to receive this message. This is not theory. This is a law. Think about this. Billions of thoughts are happening right now. Countless words are being spoken, written, or thought. And yet you are here, focused on these specific words. This is not random. This is the law of consciousness in action. I tell you with absolute certainty that your presence here is a sign of your spiritual readiness. You have been prepared through all your past experiences, through moments of doubt and questioning, to be receptive to this truth. You've been guided here by the divine creative power that is within you, your true self. Understand this. While others are still seeking external solutions, hopping from one teacher to another, you have been led to this message because somewhere inside you, you know that what you seek is not outside of you. It is within you. The infinite creative power that has brought you here is ready to take you to the next level of understanding. As others sleep in the illusion of external causation, you are awakening to the truth that all power lies within you. Most will read these words and dismiss them, returning to the world of limitation. But you, those who have been chosen by your own higher self, will recognize the truth in these words. You will feel that stirring within you, a remembrance of what you already knew deep inside. The fact that these words resonate with your soul is proof that you are among the few who are ready to awaken from the dream of limitation. While others continue to look for power outside of themselves, you are being called to recognize the power within. Let's go deeper into why this moment is so significant. Your consciousness has brought you to this moment because you are ready to understand its magnitude. This message isn't meant for everyone, not because they are excluded, but because they are not yet ready to grasp its profound simplicity. Many are still living under the illusion that their reality is something happening to them rather than from them. Out of all the possible moments in time, out of all the messages you could be receiving, your consciousness has drawn you here. This is not chance. This is divine law in perfect action. And with that, I tell you with absolute certainty that you are ready to receive the truth that all creation begins within. You have been prepared to receive this truth, while others continue to chase shadows in the external world. Let this moment be a reminder that you have everything you need to create your reality. All power is within you. The world around you is simply a reflection of your consciousness. Recognize this, and everything changes. Your presence here, reading these words, is not a coincidence or an accident. It's a reflection of your deep desire to understand the mysteries of existence. The desire you hold and its fulfillment are occurring simultaneously in the eternal now. Many people believe that their desires are separate from their fulfillment, that there is a gap between wanting and receiving. But you, the one who has been drawn to this message, are ready to understand that desire and fulfillment are one, only separated by our consciousness of lack. While others spend their lives waiting for something to happen to them, you are waking up to the truth that everything happens through you. Your consciousness is the only reality, and everything you experience is simply the outward projection of your consciousness into the world of form, the physical reality we see as the world of shadows. The fact that you continue to resonate with these words is proof that you are among the few who are ready to claim your divine inheritance, not chosen by some external force, but by your own expanded consciousness and readiness to receive this truth. Let me reveal why this message finds only those who are prepared to receive it. In the grand design of creation, there is a perfect law that brings the seeker to the truth exactly when they are ready to embrace it, neither too early nor too late. While millions chase after material success and external validation, you have been drawn here because something within you, the divine spark of awareness, recognizes a deeper truth. Your consciousness has expanded to a point where you are ready to receive what I am about to share. At this very moment, countless individuals are seeking answers. Yet only a few will come across this message. This is not because the truth is hidden, but because consciousness must be prepared to receive it. Just like a seed must be ripe before it can sprout, consciousness must mature before it can fully embrace higher truths. The fact that you are here reading these words is no accident. The divine wisdom that governs all things has brought you here at the perfect moment, because you are ready to step into a new dimension of understanding. While others remain caught in the web of external causes, you are being awakened to the truth that all causes lie within. The fact that you are receiving this message is evidence that your consciousness is prepared to transcend the limitations of conventional thinking. You are ready to step into the awareness that your imagination is the divine power at work within you. Most people will continue to seek their good in the world of effects, never realizing that all effects arise from one cause, consciousness. But you, who have been drawn to these words, are ready to understand that consciousness is the only reality and all else is its shadow. While the masses continue to pray to a God outside themselves, you are awakening to the truth that the kingdom of heaven is within you. Your consciousness is that kingdom, and your imagination is the godly power operating within. Let me share something few will understand, but you will recognize as truth in the deepest part of your being. The fact that you continue reading these words is a testament to your spiritual readiness, a readiness cultivated through countless states of consciousness. While the masses remain hypnotized by the world of effects, believing that what they see creates their reality, you are being prepared to understand the reverse. Everything you see, everything you experience, is preceded by a state of consciousness you have occupied. At this very moment, billions of people are engaging with countless different messages, yet you are here, your attention focused on these words. This is not coincidence or chance. It is the perfect operation of divine law. Your consciousness has led you to exactly what it needs for its next phase of growth. The fact that these words resonate with you is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few achieve in a single lifetime. While others chase after external effects, you are being guided to understand the one true cause, consciousness itself. Let's delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. The human mind is conditioned to seek complexity, to believe that spiritual truths must be difficult to attain and require years of study. But I tell you, the deepest truths are often so simple that most miss them entirely. Many will continue to believe that their good must come from something or someone external, worshipping at the altar of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are merely shadows cast by their own state of consciousness. You, however, are ready to step into a new understanding. While others spend their lives trying to change effects, you are being awakened to the truth that only the cause can be changed, and the cause is your own wonderful human imagination. Your consciousness is the only reality, and all phenomena are simply consciousness expressed. Let me share with you a truth so profound, yet so simple, that most minds will reject it outright. The very moment you are experiencing now, reading these words, was created by a state of consciousness you occupied before you even knew this message existed. While the world speaks of coincidence and chance, you are being awakened to the truth that every moment is orchestrated by the law of consciousness. With mathematical precision, there are no accidents in the universe governed by law. Your presence here is evidence of this truth. Consider this eternal principle. Consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is an effect of consciousness. The fact that so few will receive this message is not because it is hidden, but because consciousness must first be prepared to receive it. Just as a radio must be tuned to the right frequency, consciousness must be tuned to the frequency of truth. I tell you with complete authority, your ability to understand and accept what I am sharing comes not from intellectual capacity, but from spiritual readiness. While millions remain caught in the hypnosis of materialism, you are being prepared through countless experiences to receive this revelation. Now let's understand why this message reaches so few. In the infinite wisdom of divine law, truth reveals itself only to those who have developed the consciousness to receive it. This is not about exclusivity, it is the perfect operation of spiritual law. Most will continue to believe that life happens to them, that they are victims of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are simply consciousness objectified. But you who resonate with these words are ready to step into the awareness that you are the operative power in your world. While others continue to pray to a God they believe is separate from them, you are awakening to the truth that God is your own wonderful human imagination. This is why so few will receive this message. They are not yet ready to accept their own divinity. The fact that these words strike a chord with you is proof that you have evolved beyond the mass consciousness of victimhood. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator of your reality. Now let me share a fundamental truth that will completely transform your understanding of reality. The very act of your consciousness engaging with these words is creating ripples in the fabric of your existence that will manifest in ways you cannot yet imagine. While the vast majority of humanity believes that their future is determined by their past, you are being awakened to the glorious truth that your future is determined by your present state of consciousness. This is why so few will receive this message. They are still bound by past-based thinking. But as you absorb these words, in this very moment, you are choosing from infinite possibilities the exact experiences that will manifest in your life. The moment you grasp this truth, everything changes. Your consciousness is not merely a receptor of information. It is actively shaping your reality. I say this with unwavering certainty. The fact that you have been drawn to this deeper understanding is proof that you have surpassed the limited consciousness that so many still live by. While the majority remain ensnared by the belief in external causation, you are ready to assume your role as the source of all that occurs in your world. Let's explore why this message reaches so few. The average person living in a world of external effects cannot yet grasp the truth that everything they experience is simply consciousness externalized. Most continue to search for causes in the outer world, unaware that the outer world is just the visible expression of consciousness. They believe that their consciousness is shaped by their circumstances, not realizing the eternal truth that their circumstances are a direct result of their consciousness. But you, drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to reverse that understanding. While the masses chase after the effects, attempting to manipulate external conditions, you are being awakened to the truth that it is only your consciousness that can be changed, and when consciousness changes, everything else must change with it. This is the law, and the fact that these words continue to resonate within you proves that you have evolved beyond the materialistic hypnosis that binds the majority. You are ready to embrace the awareness that consciousness is the one and only reality. Now let me explain why this moment is so pivotal in your spiritual evolution. While millions walk through life in a trance, accepting the illusion of external causation, you are being drawn to this message by the perfect timing that governs all manifestation. Consciousness operates with absolute precision, bringing each soul exactly what it needs at the precise moment it is ready to receive it. Consider what this means. Out of all the infinite possibilities in any given moment, your consciousness has brought you to this exact message. This is not a coincidence. It is the perfect operation of divine law. While others remain caught in the web of random events, you are awakening to the truth that nothing is random. I tell you with absolute certainty, your presence here and your ability to understand and resonate with these words
is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few attain in a single lifetime. While others continue to seek fulfillment in the world of effects, you are ready to live from the world of cause. Now let's grasp something that the rational mind may reject, but that your soul will recognize as true. The very consciousness that has drawn you to this message is the same consciousness that creates and sustains the entire universe. There is no separation. All is one consciousness expressed in countless forms. Most people will continue to believe they must wait for something external to change in order to change their lives, never realizing that the waiting itself is the very state that perpetuates their current condition. But you, who are being drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to step into the awareness that waiting is unnecessary because everything exists now in consciousness. While others spend their lives trying to make things happen, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already exists in consciousness. Your task is to simply occupy the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. While the masses remain focused on the world of shadows, the world of things they can see, touch, and measure, you are awakening to the truth that all tangible reality is merely consciousness crystallized into form. This is why so few will receive this message. They are not yet ready to accept that consciousness precedes all manifestation. Consider this eternal truth in this very moment. As these words penetrate your consciousness, you are literally rearranging the entire universe, not the universe of effects that seems so solid and real, but the true universe of consciousness from which all effects emerge. Your presence here, your continued resonance with these words, is not a matter of choice as the world understands choice. It is the perfect unfolding of a state of consciousness you entered when you were ready to receive higher truth. Now let's delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. The natural mind, conditioned by centuries of materialistic thinking, cannot yet grasp that everything in the visible world is simply consciousness externalized. They seek causes in effects, never realizing that all effects spring from the one cause, consciousness itself. Most will continue to believe that their thoughts and feelings are reactions to the world around them, never understanding the eternal truth that their world is a reflection of their thoughts and feelings. But you, drawn to this message by divine law, are ready to assume your place as the conscious operator of this law. While others remain trapped in the belief that time is a linear progression from past to future, you are awakening to the truth that all time exists simultaneously in consciousness. The past you remember and the future you anticipate both exist now in your consciousness. As we bring this divine revelation to its conclusion, understand this final truth: even the ending of this message is just a new beginning. In consciousness, there is no end, only the eternal unfolding of that which already is. The very fact that you have remained engaged throughout this message is proof of your spiritual readiness. While others may find these words too abstract, too far removed from what they consider practical reality, you have recognized the ultimate practicality of operating from the one true cause, consciousness itself. This understanding sets you apart from the masses, who continue to live in effect. Remember this: the message you have received today will continue to unfold within your consciousness, revealing deeper and deeper layers of truth as you are ready to receive them. Truth, like consciousness, is infinite in its expression. I tell you this with finality: you are not drawn to this message merely to hear words, but to experience an awakening of the God power within you. From this moment forward, you will never again see the world through the eyes of the natural man, for you have been initiated into the mysteries of consciousness. Know this: as you read these words, you are not the same being who began reading them. Your consciousness has been altered, expanded, lifted to a new level of understanding. While others may forget what they read moments after reading it, these truths will continue to work in your consciousness, transforming your entire world. For you are among the few who have been prepared to receive this wisdom, that your consciousness is the only reality, and all else is simply consciousness made visible. This is not the end of your journey, but rather the true beginning of your conscious creation. Go forth now, knowing that you have been chosen by your own expanded consciousness to receive these truths. Let them work in you, through you, as you not separate from these principles, but as the very embodiment of them in operation. And remember, this message found you because you were ready to receive it. Your consciousness drew it to you with the same precision that governs the movement of planets and the blooming of flowers. You are that power, that law, that consciousness made manifest. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. For those who have eyes to see, let them see. And for you who have been prepared to receive this truth, let this understanding transform every aspect of your being. Consciousness is all there is, and you are that consciousness individualized. And now, in the eternal now, where all creation takes place, we conclude this message knowing that in consciousness there is no conclusion, only the eternal unfoldment of that which already is. You said, can you rewrite this part again in your own words, as this is having plagiarism and copyright to the original script? ChatGPT said, certainly. Here is a rephrased version of the text. Your consciousness is not simply absorbing information, it is actively shaping the reality around you. The fact that you are engaging with these deeper truths is proof that you have surpassed the limited thinking that many people still operate on. While others remain trapped in the belief that external circumstances are the cause of everything, you are beginning to realize that you are the origin of all that happens in your life. Let's explore why this message reaches so few people. The average person living in a world of outward effects struggles to comprehend that everything they experience is just the external expression of their consciousness. They search for reasons and causes in the external world, not understanding that the outer world is merely the reflection of consciousness. Most people believe that their consciousness is the result of their circumstances, but they fail to see the deeper truth. It is their consciousness that shapes and creates their circumstance. But you who are being drawn to these words through divine selection are ready to shift your understanding. While the masses chase after the effects, attempting to change the world by manipulating external factors, you are awakening to the truth that only your consciousness can be changed. And once you change your consciousness, everything else must align with it. This is the law, and your resonance with these words is proof that you have moved beyond the materialistic mindset that holds others captive. You are ready to embrace the fact that your consciousness is the only true reality. Now let's understand why this moment is so significant in your spiritual journey. While millions of people are sleepwalking through their lives, believing in the illusion of external causes, you are being guided here by divine timing. Consciousness operates with perfect accuracy, bringing to each individual exactly what they need at the right moment. The fact that you are here now, engaging with this message, shows that your consciousness has reached a level of expansion where it is ready to absorb these profound truths. Consider what this means. Out of all the infinite possibilities, your consciousness has led you to this exact message. This is not a random event. This is the perfect orchestration of spiritual law. While others remain entrapped in the randomness of life, you are awakening to the realization that nothing is truly random. I say with complete confidence that your presence here and your ability to resonate with these words is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual growth that few attain in a lifetime. While many continue to seek fulfillment through external effects, you are now ready to live from the world of cause. Here's something that might challenge your rational mind, but that your soul will recognize as truth. The very consciousness that brought you to this message is the same consciousness that creates and sustains the entire universe. There is no separation, no division. Everything is one consciousness, expressed in infinite ways. Most people will continue to believe they must wait for something external to change before they can change their lives, never realizing that the act of waiting itself is what keeps them stuck in their current reality. But you, drawn to this truth by divine law, are now ready to realize that waiting is unnecessary because everything exists already in consciousness. While the masses keep trying to make things happen, you are awakening to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already exists within consciousness. Your role now is to simply occupy the state of consciousness that aligns with your desire. While others remain focused on the physical world, the world of things they can see, touch, and measure, you are awakening to the realization that all tangible reality is simply consciousness crystallized into form. This is why so few are able to hear and understand this message. They are not yet ready to accept that consciousness precedes all manifestation. Consider this eternal principle. In this very moment, As you absorb these words, you are literally rearranging the entire universe. Not the universe of physical effects, but the true universe of consciousness from which all phenomena emerge. Your continued engagement with this message is not a matter of chance. It is the perfect unfoldment of a state of consciousness that you entered when you were prepared to receive higher truth. Now let's delve further into why this message reaches so few people. The natural mind, conditioned by centuries of materialistic thinking, cannot yet comprehend that everything they perceive in the physical world is simply consciousness externalized. They look for causes in the world of effects, never understanding that all effects are the result of one cause, consciousness itself. Most will continue to believe that their thoughts and feelings are reactions to the world, but they fail to grasp the eternal truth that their world is merely a reflection of their thoughts and feelings. You, who are being drawn to this message by divine law, are ready to step into the role of conscious creator of your reality. While others remain caught in the belief that time is a linear progression from past to future, you are awakening to the truth that all time exists simultaneously within consciousness. The past you remember and the future you anticipate are both present now in your consciousness. As we approach the conclusion of this divine revelation, understand that even this ending is just a new beginning. In consciousness, there is no finality, only the continuous unfolding of that which already exists. The very fact that you have stayed present through these revelations is a testament to your spiritual readiness. While others may find these truths too abstract or far removed from what they consider practical, you have come to realize the ultimate practicality of operating from the only true cause, consciousness itself. This understanding now sets you apart from the masses who continue to live at the mercy of external effects. Remember this: the message you have received today will continue to unfold within your consciousness, revealing deeper layers of truth as you are ready to receive. Like consciousness itself, truth is infinite in its expression. I tell you this with finality: you are not drawn to this message simply to hear words, but to experience a profound awakening of the godlike power within you. From this moment on, you will no longer perceive the world through the limited view of the natural mind. You are being initiated into the mysteries of consciousness. As you read these words, you are not the same person who began reading them. Your consciousness has been expanded and elevated to a new level of understanding. While others may forget what they read shortly after, these truths will continue to work within you, transforming your entire reality. For you are one of the few who are ready to receive this wisdom, the truth that your consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is simply consciousness made manifest. This is not the end of your journey, it is the true beginning of your conscious creation. Go forward now, knowing that you are being chosen by your own expanded consciousness to receive these truths. Let them work in you, through you, and as you, not separate from these principles, but as the very embodiment of them. This message found you because you were ready to receive it. Your consciousness has drawn it to you with the same precision that governs the movement of planets and the blooming of flowers. You are that power, that law, that consciousness made manifest. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. For those who have eyes to see, let them see. And for you who are being prepared to receive this truth, let this understanding transform every aspect of your being. Consciousness is all there is, and you are that consciousness individualized. And now, in the eternal now where all creation takes place, we conclude this message, knowing that in consciousness there is no end, only the eternal unfolding of that which already is.